We're back with another video update on the Revell Build and Play Star Destroyer kit. And I thought before I go over my paint on it and all that, I'd go over on some of my LEDs that I'll be installing. I'm going to let the paint set up for about another day before I start handling it, taking it apart and installing all the rest of the fibers and all that. So anyway, what I got here is the way I like my model, the engines and stuff. I got all the LEDs ready before I even started drilling a lot of holes. I kind of went through the kit and checked out to see how I wanted to light it and what I wanted to do to go about inserting the LEDs in the right places and stuff. So this first batch here, I've got 3 LEDs. They're all bundled, all wired, 3 of them together with enough wire in between them to reach from one engine nozzle to the other. Those are for the three main engines. And the first video I showed how I made some little tubes to stick them in, and what they'll do, they'll set the same distance as the engine, as the lights that came with the model, the little light and sound module. These will sit the same distance from the back of the engines, just like those, so they should light up the same. I went with white, and with those little blue inserts, they'll be a real pale blue, more on the white side, and they'll kind of like a ice blue almost. And that's kind of what I'm aiming for. I heard the original studio model, they were white engines anyway, and they had a little tinge of blue, but not deep blue. So those are set to go in there. They'll just pop in the back, and they'll be all set to go. These aren't for my those 4 smaller engine nozzles, and what I understand, those are maneuvering thrusters, from what it said on the internet, on the web page that I went to. Those are maneuvering thrusters. Those will be hooked up to a separate power switch, so I can turn them off and on, and leave those on and turn these off when I want to, and all that. And what I did, I inserted them. I drilled out the back. I removed the middle of the engine nozzles, cleared that all out, and just, you know, the little blue inserts snap into them yet. Those are already glued up to the ship. These will insert from the back, and I left the LED sticking out just far enough where it'll fit right into the back of that little blue nozzle, that little blue snapping piece and all that. So, and talk about those little blue pieces. The big ones aren't bad to get in, but those little ones, this thing, you know, there ain't no way this is a kid's toy. You got to have Dad put those together for you, because the kids will lose those little blue inserts and stuff on those. And that, so anyway, those will slip right in the back, and I can glue that too, but it'll come back into the ship some, and I can glue that in there and stuff, and it'll be nice and solid and all that. And then this last one here, remember I talked about the back of the ship over here, how I made that enclosure so I can light that little whatever, that dump chute or whatever that is. I got this all set up where it'll glue right up into the bottom of that. It'll angle the LED up to it, and you'll just have a red glow. You won't see no hot spot. And then what I did on the top of the tube that I made for it, I put a piece of 10 thousandths sheet styrene over it to diffuse it even more, so it's not real bright. And instead of using a 510 ohm resistor like I normally would on my colored LEDs, thrown off at 12 volts, I used a 1000 ohm resistor. Kind of doubled it up to make it a little bit dimmer, where it's not a real bright deep red. It's gonna just be a real light red in there, and you know, it's gonna be nice and diffused. And once I get that glued in, I'll paint the bottom black, and that'll block any light from coming through the bottom seam and all that. So that's all of that. I'm gonna unplug those now, and we'll go over how my paint came out. And I'm pretty happy with it. I went more towards the white side like the studio model, and it's still a little bit gray, but close to more white. And that video I put up yesterday showing how I used the colored artist pencil to do my shaded panels. It gave me the look I was looking for. You can see it better, and it looks better in person than on camera, but it's still picking up. It's almost like a ghost paint job. You can pick out certain panels and all that, and you can see it from a distance. Under different lighting, they pop more than other type of lighting. So I'm real happy with the way that came out and all. I already snipped the front of the fibers off the bridge and all that. And but I'm real happy with the way that paint came out on there. It gave me like a ghost effect. Like I said, I didn't want to overdo it. I don't want no heavy weathering. I want it to be kind of everything in scale. And I feel a ship this size, you don't really want a dark gray against a almost white background, because it'll be too overpowering and stuff. So, but I'm happy the way that came out. Like I said, you can see it better off of camera. It looks a lot, you know, they pop a lot more, but it's still showing up pretty good. And the bottom, pretty much the same thing. Just picked out a few panels here and there. Like I said, I didn't want to really overdo it and all that. And my little additions, all my little detail piping and stuff, that all came out real nice. And all that, so it turned out just the way I wanted it to, you know. And if I do want to highlight any more, if you know, down the line, once I get to going with the lighting and stuff, and if I want to bring out some more panels, I did find I do have some. It's Model Master. It's the enamel. It's camouflage gray, which is very close to the same color, as you can see, as those little panels there. I used that on my Republic Star Destroyer for some different panels to give some lighter effects. Anyway, that's the way that all turned out. Now I start stringing fibers. I got fibers going around all these. I got fibers going up and down each side of that there area. I got this is all fibered on 3 sides. This one gets fiber optics around 3 sides. This one gets fiber optics around the 3 sides on that too. And then of course my shuttle bay, that'll go in there. This one will get some fibers on each side. I think there's 3 on each side I'm doing, and all that. And of course the side trenches, those trenches. And then I got these to do with fibers all the way around those. And then this one, 3 sides, and halfway down there I got a few holes on each side of that front part. And then this here, it'll have optics going around all 4 sides on there. And of course the main structure, the different levels and all that. And when I sprayed this, I kind of, basically it was the gray primer, and then I used that colored pencil. And I just kept spraying light mist coats, almost like overspray would be, till I got the desired, you know, tone that I wanted and stuff. I just didn't spray it and let it go. And I kind of sprayed most of it from above around this area. So this has got a little bit darker, and it brings out the detail more and stuff and all that. And I'll tell you what, once this is painted, those panel lines really don't stand out that much as they did when it was just the bare plastic. And I think this is a really, really good detailed model from Revell. They did a good job on it, and I don't know, there's a lot of guys complain, but I don't have no complaints about it. Now the only issue I had, I did put the bridge together. That's not coming back apart. I couldn't glue it because that cement that I used, that liquid cement, Plastruct, the fibers are so close to the wall edges and everything. If I would have put that in there with that capillary action, it would have ran down into the fibers and melted them, because they're only 0.25. They're like 10,000 stick fiber. The biggest problem I had, a gap, was along both those sides and down each side here. I was able to fill those in with canopy glue and all that, and seal them up. And the same on the side. I just used canopy glue to fill that seam up the best I could, and you know, it came up pretty good. I'm pretty happy with the result and everything. Like I said, that antenna detail, if you notice what the kit, that's all solid. But if you notice on mine, I did cut out the sides there to make it more dimensional, rather than just a hunk of plastic molded, you know, solid plastic. I kind of do that. I was thinking about on those 2 radar domes, about drilling out between those little feet there and stuff, and making hollow them out a little bit, but nah, they look pretty good to me. They got enough detail for what I'm doing, and you know, overall the kit, it's the overall look. It's not just, you know, one little detail that's gonna make or break it. So, but I'm happy with the way the paint turned out. It brings out all the little extra details that I added and everything, especially in that area, all the little piping and stuff. So I'm pretty happy with that. So anyway, that's that. I'm gonna let it sit for another day before I start doing any lighting on it and stuff, because I want the paint to really set up good before it gets handled. It's already been clear coated with Tester's Dull and all that. I gave it a couple of good coats on that. The back of it, the engines, I weathered the inside of them. I used it's kind of a grayish brownish, almost like an exhaust color. So it's in a set of chalks. I think it's 36 colors. I bought it at Hobby Lobby a few years ago, and it's the darkest color in there, but it's not a black. It's actually like a soot color, like more like a gray brown. And I really like that chalk, that color, and all that. And when they are lit, they don't come out to be real dark. They look more like they look a lot lighter when they're lit and everything. But I did all the 4 engines, and all I did in the center of all them cylinders and everything, and around those 4 smaller engines, they got a little piping detail. I just very lightly, pretty much whatever chalk was left on the brush, I just wiped it up along there, just to make some of the details pop a little bit more. But that's pretty much all the weathering that this is going to get. I'm not going to do any kind of washes because I don't want to bring out the panel lines. The studio model didn't have none of the panel lines, you know, washed with anything to make them stand out. So I'm pretty happy with this. So that's that for now. We're going to go over to another model real quick. I understand Revell filed for bankruptcy, and there's a model that I built about 6-7 months ago that I understand is no longer available. A lot of their kits might not be available no more, and that's the Republic Star Destroyer. And pretty much on this one, I used for the main base color, I used the Tester's light aircraft gray. All this is the trenches and all that, and a lot of the darker details on there is the Tester's light aircraft gray, and I think I used the gall gray, the camo gray, which I was talking about. This is Insignia Red, Model Master Insignia Red. It gave me more of that burgundy color, and I masked all the stripes off on the top and the bottom on my own, airbrushed all that, and then I just picked out certain panel lines with the different tones of gray. Pretty much what I had on hand. I don't go out and buy special paints for anything. I know I did a video on this a while back and all, but I think I'm gonna light it up anyway, just to show. And this model is actually done with the 0.25 millimeter fibers, just like I did on I'm doing on my Star Destroyer, the Imperial Star Destroyer, and those are the red and green fibers that I installed around the hangers and all that. And you know, I'm pretty happy. I used 0.50 millimeter fibers on these larger windows. The rest are all 0.25 millimeter fiber optics and stuff. So that's real happy. And I've had a few questions on this model from different guys. Those are blue LEDs. They show up more purple in the videos. But inside, there's a company called Shapeways. I'm sure you guys are starting to hear about them. They're getting pretty popular with Star Wars stuff now. They make little inserts for the engines back here, and they're like pretty much like a finned insert and everything. They're real brittle. I think I forgot how much they run me, but they weren't real expensive. You get a set of 8 of them, 4 big ones and 4 small ones. And for the small engines, they don't make them because they're pretty tiny. Actually, for the 2 small engines up there, I just used 2 millimeter fiber optic running to the LED. But there's a separate flickering LED for each one of these, and also a separate one for those. So there's a total of 10 LEDs, flickering blue LEDs in those. I'm going to unplug it. You guys probably get a better look at those little inserts in there maybe. I don't know if they'll show. Yeah, there they are right there. You can see them pretty good right there. But if you get them, I drilled the engines out all the way straight through, and I use kind of a setup like this, but they're much longer, to get my LEDs just the right position where I want them, and they're all enclosed in a tube and everything, and that's just the way I light my engines. But if you get these inserts, for those that are interested, they're real brittle. They're 3D printed. They're very brittle. I mean, if you squeeze them, they're just gonna crush and break into pieces. And they're super fine. I mean, they're probably, those fins are probably the thickness of a hair. They do take the paint, primer and paint real well. What I did is I drilled, like I said, I drilled everything out of there so there's nothing in the way. But what I did is I just sanded those by hand with some emery, some sandpaper rolled up. And those are just to press fit. You want to get it where they press in easy. If you got to force them, you're going to end up destroying them. Like I said, they are very brittle. The smaller ones, I did the same thing. I just sanded out the inside of those tubes, and like I said, I press fit them in there, and they won't come out and everything. But I didn't use any kind of glue. Was afraid to use any kind of CA or anything, being that they are 3D printed. They're very, very brittle. And I explained that to a gentleman that left me a comment about where I got them, and I explained to him how I installed them and what to be careful with and everything. So I was afraid the glue would melt them, being that they're so fine. So I just made sure that they pressed in easily, but they had a little bit of resistance. And, like I said, if you force them, you're going to end up wiping them out. So, but I just thought I'd bring this model out. It's been sitting in the back room for quite some time now since I built it. And like I says, I was going to build the big Star Destroyer from Revell, but just don't have the room with all these big models. And this model actually is pretty close to the same scale as the larger Star Destroyer. So if you build it, you'll have a nice display there, two of them side by side. And that, but anyway, from what I understand, every place I see, as far as, different websites, like Tower Hobbies, Hobby Link, place like this kit is no longer available. And with Revell filing bankruptcy, I'm sure the prices are going to start going up, because I know there's a lot of people that still like to build this and all that, being it is Star Wars. But even with the larger, a lot of their other kits, their build and play kits, or even their new kit, the glue kit, the larger Star Destroyer, the 2700 scale. I know, I'm just curious as to how long they're going to produce that and how fast they'll be taken off the shelves, or once they're bought up, if they're going to replace, replenish or keep producing. Excuse me. I haven't had any heard any more information or anything like that. I tried to call them last week about a question I had, but I wasn't able to get through to them, just their answering service, and I hung up. So, but anyway, for those guys that are looking, I imagine prices on these, like on eBay and Amazon, I bet you they'll start going up, being that they're no longer being produced and they're discontinued. They're taken out of production. So, anyway, I just thought I'd bring this one out and share a little bit of that with you. And like I said, I'm going to probably take the day off today from doing any more work on my Imperial Star Destroyer. Let the paint set up for another day, cure nice and hard, and before I start handling too much, and then I'll get on to installing all the lighting and all that. And these LEDs with the blue inserts in the engine cones, they'll pretty much look almost as about the same tone of blue as the Shuttle Bay came out with, a little bit light brushing of Model Master clear blue over the fibers and stuff to give it that little blue tint, but not a real deep blue. So anyway, that's all for today. Hope this video helped you out. Hope you enjoy it. If you like any of my videos, hit the like button, and hope you subscribe. And don't be afraid to leave comments if you have any questions about how I do things or anything else. Whether you're building a different model and you're just curious about how to do fibers or lighting or anything. And we'll talk. Oh, one thing before we go. I was experimenting. I took this apart. I'm going to experiment with it. It still works. I cut all the that away and just kept the battery compartment. Thinking this runs off a total 1.5 volts per battery, so that's a total of 4.5 volts. So I'm thinking if I want to run this off of 12 volts and use this sound, I can wire up like I make my own circuit boards for my Enterprise ships with all the strobes and all that. I usually use a 470K resistor for my positive feed into the circuit board where my 12 volts goes into it. So I'm thinking if I hook up a 470K ohm resistor to the power lead on this and then hook up my 12 volts, I'll probably be able to run it that way. These are already resistored up, but that'll keep the board from frying. And also these are resistored up for your colored LEDs. Normally blue and your white, your warm white, your cool white. Normally those run at 3 volts, but these are resistored up just like a colored LED. So I'm thinking I can probably replace one of these LEDs, cut the other two off, do away with them, replace one of these with my green extra fast flashing LED for my weapons fire, and use that just as it is, and have my green LED with the fibers connected to it for my weapons fire. I think that might be pretty cool on the base. If it's not, it's not going to hurt nothing. And I can always get rid of the soundboard and just wire them up to I'm lost for words, but a switch, you know, a momentary switch. That's what I was looking for. But that's about what it is, and I think that's all it'll take to wire this up. It's, you know, they're already marked positive and negative for your LEDs and everything. So I'm going to keep these LEDs because I think they're pretty cool when they light up. They just got that little blue dot in them. I don't know what type of LED they would call it. It's not a straw hat or anything, but it's a lot different than the ones I work with. So I'm gonna play around, test it out, and see how things work. I got tons of LEDs laying around because I order bulk when I do get them and stuff, and a lot of times I pre-wire a lot of them. So when I do get something I want to light, I already got most of the soldering out of the way, and things go a lot quicker that way. So that's it for now. Have a good day, and we'll see you on the next video. Probably it won't be for a couple days now. Like I said, I want to let that paint dry for another day, and then I'm going to start stringing the fibers, and you know, I'll probably make a video as I get the couple different things installed. But I'm going to start cramming on those fibers. That'll probably take me a few days and stuff. So, but I will do some updates and all that, and keep you guys informed how things are going. So if you're following along, or anybody that's building one and following along, you won't have to wait too long, hopefully. So take care, happy modeling, and have a good one. Bye.